Okay, I have now made my raw data table, you can see, and my process data table. And so now I am going to make a graph. In order to make my graph, I need to decide what type of graph I'm going to make. So I'm going to open up this nice piece of information that Ms. Weingarten gave me, which is a sheet that is in your syllabus, and it shows you what kind of graph do you need to make. So first it asks what kind of data are you taking? Are you counting frequencies or taking measurements? We were measuring temperature, so it's measurements. Are we testing for a relationship between number of ice cubes and temperature? Or are we testing for a difference between two categorical things, like testing between dogs and cats or elephants and zebras? We are testing for a relationship. So right now I know I need to make a scatter plot graph. So I'm going to minimize this, come back to my sheet, and I'm going to make graph 1. And I'll put the title in the graph. So in order to make my graph, I need to highlight. I'm going to highlight the data. Now I had my independent variable on the left, so that's good. That's going to put it on the x-axis. I'm going to highlight, I just noticed I spelled the word average wrong, so I'm going to fix that. I'm going to highlight 0 through 33.9. So I'm highlighting all of my independent variable, and then I'm going to graph the mean or the average of my data. I am not graphing raw data. Never do that in the IB. Now I need to go up here to Insert, and there's all these different recommended charts. I followed my worksheet and it says, okay, we're going to do a scatter plot. So I'm going to pick a scatter plot graph and it's going to make me my chart. I'll work with my chart right here for now so everybody can see, but eventually I do want it to fit on that one page. I just want it to fit left and right within one page because I want to be able to copy and paste this into Excel. All right, this came out kind of beautiful, so this is a good thing. On my data, or on my chart, I'm going to first rename it. It's going to be called Chart 1 or Graph 1, whatever you want to say. I'm going to say Graph 1, and I might even just cheat and copy this, put it over here so that I can save time. Okay. And so now I have a title, but I really need to label my axes because I don't know if this is 2 dogs, 3 cats, 37 horses. I have no idea what any of this represents. So I need to go to Chart Design, add a chart element up in the top left, and I'm going to pick some axes titles. First, I'll start with the horizontal. The horizontal was the number of ice cubes. And I don't know why that stayed, but go away, axis title. Okay. And then I need to go up to, chart design, add chart element, vertical axis, and there I'm going to say temperature of water, and I need to at least put the units. You don't have to put the uncertainty. You can. It'd be nice. I don't know why axis title is sticking. But you at least need the units here. You have to put the units. So, degrees Celsius. I'm going to write it out just to be nice. And totally spell it wrong. Okay. There we are. Now, this looks good. I think I can say that there's a little bit of a correlation. As the number of ice cubes increased, the temperature decreased. However, I'm not certain of my results because I'm not certain of how precise each data point is. So the next thing I need to do is I need to add error bars to each of my data points. So I'm going to click on these. I'm going to go up, I'm going to say add chart element, and I'm going to add error bars. I need to go to more error bar options. Standard deviation, Excel doesn't know how to do that. They'll add the exact same one for every single point. Don't do that. Go to more error bar options. Over here on the right, You want both. You want them to be positive and negative. You want them to have a cap because it looks nicer. You do not want a fixed value. You want to customize the value, and you want to specify that value. So I'm going to say specify the value, and I want them to be the standard deviation because my error bars are going to represent how far off from the mean were each of my individual trials. So for the positive value, like going up from my each mean, I'm going to pick all of these. And for the negative value, I'm going to pick all of these. And then I'm going to press enter. Now, for some reason, it gives me these horizontal ugly error bars. I'm going to just click on one and press delete so that it gets rid of them. Another thing it did here is it changed my axis. So I'm going to double click here. I'm going to, I don't know why it did that, but I'm going to axis options. Sorry. I think it's here. I want it to start at around, let's say 25. Or even, can it start at 30? Yeah, I think 30. Let's have it start at 30. Okay. So now, does this look approximately right? If my average at 0 ice cubes was 40.4, so 40.4, and I went up to 42.7, that looks about right, almost 43, and down to, all the way down to 38, yep. And then if I just do this one, let's say the average for 4 ice cubes was 33.9, almost 34, and it went up 2 again and down 2. And you can see at 3 ice cubes, my error bars are a little bit smaller than over here. And if I want to just test myself, let's say I just pretend and I'm just going to put in like that my error for 0.3 was 0.3 or for 3 ice cubes was only 0.3. Oh, look how small it got over here. So I know that this is corresponding with this. If I was that precise at 3 ice cubes, then my error bars just shrink down. However, I wasn't, so I'm going to Command Z and undo what I just did. All right, so now we have our error bars. We can see where they overlap, where they don't. I could say that there's a statistical difference between 4 ice cubes and 0 because the error bars do not overlap. However, between 3 and 4 ice cubes, we've got all this overlapping. I probably wouldn't feel confident saying there's a statistical difference between those two. The last thing I need to do is add some sort of a statistical test for my graph. Let's go back to our... I'm testing to see maybe how the ice cubes affect the temperature, or is there a correlation between the amount of ice cubes and the temperature? So what I want here is I want a slope, or I want an r-squared value of my line. And the closer that value is to 1, the more of a correlation there is. So I'm going to go back. If I was down here in a bar graph testing for like Kicking Horse Coffee versus Archer Farms, I would be doing a t-test. But I'm not. I'm up here. So I'm going to go back. And I'm going to say, again, under Chart Design, add a chart element, I want a trend line. And I'm going to go to more trend line options. I think it's linear. I think that linear fits my graph. But I'm also going to display an r-squared value. And this r-squared value will back up my data. This r-squared value here is 0.98. That is pretty close to 1. So I could say with a lot of certainty that there is a correlation between the number of ice cubes and the temperature of the water. All right, that's it for processing, analyzing all of your data for the Ice Cube Lab. I hope this helps, and I hope you can use this going forward. See you next week.